Peace and blessings be upon you. Praise be to Allah and thank be to Allah, and there is no God but Allah Almighty, and Allah is the greatest, which are filled with the chest, and it will transfer into the mouth as remembrance. And I may ask Allah that to earn from Him the most of blessings. And we were talking the recent episode about worshipping and servitude and belief and the attributes of belief or faith. Now we're going to talk in contemplation of the definition of remembrance, because those days which we're living are the most that the Prophet had inspired us to remember Allah in it. I went usually to contemplate and to think of what is the meaning of remembrance, to come up with a conclusion to inspire me with an expanded understanding of remembering Allah Almighty. And the remembrance during the prayer has its own certain forms, and remembrance in the life, it has its own reflection for a human's life, where the human can find the right definition that fits the timing and the situations of one's life. How can I be able to do so? So I can build this picture. When I remember Allah Almighty, I can launch my remembrance from the intellect. It's the intellect of remembrance. We're going to talk it from its core of its meaning and its interpretation. The books are vast in this topic, and to urge the people to do so, and I may assume, and Allah knows best, that we should produce the right definition so we can raise the right interpretation of remembrance to the highest level. When I review those books, especially if those belongs to the scholar that they call for stimulate the humanitarian aspect, I came up to a conclusion. I found that most of them, there's talk about remembrance in one of the chapter. Before remembrance, there is the chapter of freedom, and after remembrance, there is the chapter of strength, the freedom, and then the gate of strength. When I reviewed the chapter of freedom, how can you be a pure servant to Allah without to be a slave for the things or the materialistic things in life, where the things become your masters or objectives become your masters, and then you will be afflicted with worrying and money. That's why Sheikh Ghazali, may Allah pleased with him, he said the beliefs won if it won within ourselves. If you put what Allah means in one side and the money on the other side, and the side of the money prevails, then you would know that the remembrance of Allah was not meaningful enough. And then we have to leave the servitude for materialistic or for material things. And so we have to overpass our desires. And what is the chapter of perfecting, then finding others that they earn the virtues, or to overpass the negative aspects to earn the good deeds. And there should be another formula. The remembrance should be preceded by freedom or liberation, and then it ends up with the completion of the virtues, and where to leave what you desire for what you fear, and then he can be able to say no to for those things that you should say no to, and he can have the ability to control what he wants and what does not want. So I will go into this the topic of remembrance during this portal, and I would like to ask Allah to inspire us with a new meanings to remember Him, so we don't assume that those just plain or meaningless words, where Prophet Muhammad also mentioned those situations or those meanings in different aspects of lives. And I said, I will repeat, and let me just organize my thoughts so I can be able to conclude the meanings of true meanings in life. When I went and searched, even in the meaning of remembrance, it depends on 4 words. If someone mentions something that he was aware or he paid attention, this meaning expands the definition of remembrance. To be aware of, and to be attentive and awake. This is strange. The remembrance aimed to what in its meaning? When I reviewed the meaning of remembrance in Quran and forgetting, on the other hand, the human is asked and ordered to remembrance, and he should leave forgetting, and he should be aware and live in full attention, or to be awake. To be awake has 3 dimensions. Let me, you know that hadith that my eye sleeps but my heart does not, and that's what came in the Quran when Allah said, and don't obey those who had veils on their hearts and followed their desires. And those words also, and don't be among those who forget. And there is an assertion on the request of remembrance, and this why awakeness, why to be awake. When I reviewed the modern researches or studies and the conduct of this century's human, there are attributes regarding it will dismantle the true attributes of human being. And there is also the automated method, and some of them claim that we are more of machines than to be human beings. So that we became with almost fake feelings. And some of us, they hide their tears in order for them not to show themselves as weak. But we need to participate and to interact morally And I wonder that when Aisha, when she was accused by obscenity, she came, her friend, she came to her and she cried with her. And this is a collaboration or an interaction of exchanging feelings. And that's why dry feelings are what prevails these days. What's happening in their studies that the automated method had affected the actual feelings of human being. And there's a research of there is a title of a book that our emotional this of our spirits almost disappear from our daily use or our daily application. Although Allah Almighty made it of one our attribution as human beings, that's why materialism became prevail, and the mind started to fade away, and frustration start taking over. A lot of problems, and we don't want to talk about problems, so we will stop for this break and we will continue. Peace and blessings be upon you. We came back to search into the awakeness, which is our way to lead us to remembrance, and which make us in complete awakeness. I remember Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, and describing those people who can be able to be awake and be attentive. And he said that people are asleep. If they died, they would pay attention. So the virtual sleep. So the opposite of remembrance is forgetting. That's why one of the ancestors, when he is on his own, he used to supplicate, "Oh Allah, if you want to afflict me with something, I will ask you not to punish me with the veil of forgetting you." That means that he's living without sight. That's one of the intellects used to say we are not still awake, because awake is mandatory. And to open up the eye, the inner eye, which is the insight. Where is that insight to prove that you are a true human being? So you have to be oversight yourself. That's why one of the wise men used to say we should not act like we are asleep, because a lot of people's actions indicates that they are not aware of what they're doing. Therefore, we need to start the voyage of remembrance, to stop on the remembrance or the method of remembrance of the caveman. Allah Almighty, this verse, when He described the people of the cave, on that great model, when He mentioned them, He mentioned one of their attributes, which is interpreted in two ways. When He said that you may think that they are awake, but they are asleep. Some people in our days, you assume that they are awake, but they are asleep. In fact, that's why we want to start remembrance from this gate, that to avoid and to overpass the aspect of being asleep. Let me go back to the definition or the explanation of the definition awakeness. I believe that it has three dimensions. Refresh. I doubt that there's someone doesn't know meaning of refresh. And the second dimension, and to be entitled. I'm entitled of those things. Like this man, when the sun rises, that it risen for me. This is not those when he mentioned the remembrance of the sunrise. It's a reception for him to Allah's blessings, like the others who they mention or they start remembering by when it rains. And also there's this verse that said that we created these rivers for you, all those provides or provision. And I admired Sheikh Al-Ghazali in his book and Islam and the non-functional capacities. He said that lakum in provision, which is to you, for you, that the people of of faith, they are ownership and they're not bums. What the first dimension of awakeness is to see yourself entitled and you are ordered to perform all this stuff, and you have to stand on these meanings and to inquire it and trying to explain it, and we have to be a people of inspiration, and the universe is looking for those who would like to aspire and look for the true meaning of it. Then the first dimension is to live with your intention and to expand your conscious and to listen, and we have to we need this awakeness to make us true living. We have Ali from Tunisia. Let's listen to him. Greetings to you. Peace and blessings be upon you. How are you, Your Eminence? You're welcome, Doctor. I would like to ask about something that concerns me, about the remembrance of the awakeness. It's the practical remembrance, the effectiveness and activate this remembrance is the practical one. You mean? Do you mean? Can you explain more your question? And activating the remembrance. How can I activate this remembrance? That's true. That's true. Would you like to explain or to clarify how can remembrance be practical? Yeah, exactly. May Allah be pleased with you. How can the remembrance be practical? I think if we have those who ask such questions, then we are in complete bliss. And bless Ali and all the Muslims across the world. He didn't say, what should I remember? Or what is the most proper remembrance? All these questions we need to understand. But the aims behind those remembrance, and how can I reflect it on myself and the others around me. And maybe tomorrow or later episodes, I will mention and I will explain how I can make remembrance practical. Let me just go into this by defining awakeness. Let me go back to my talk. It's not. I'm not running, but I would like to go over things gradually, so I can give a comprehensive picture for whatever I want to communicate with the viewers as well. My sisters and brothers, we'll go back to awakeness. Awakeness. It's our gate to the remembrance. And one of the definitions is to be entitled, to feel like you are the one who is spoken to. And you have to look for all the meanings for things in life. And I wonder what Ustaz Muhammad Bahjat said. He wrote in one of his books, and he wrote a very amazing book. He spoke about jasmine, the flower of jasmine, and he wished that if it was Egypt was implanted with jasmine, whole of Egypt. He said that jasmine, among the other flowers, give you its scent, and which is beautiful smell while you are standing. And it doesn't make you bow to it because it respects your freedom. Did you see the interpretation? But the jasmine respects you, and that's what I meant by looking into the definition between the lines.
He wrote an article about the cheap orange. We all eat orange. There is difference between one eater and another. If he looks for anything, he finds the beauty of a thing. These are not ideals. We need such facts. It gets out from trivial things. We need to beautify ourselves to be better and better. All the society needs this. I took the orange after lunch, and suddenly I got a meaning in the orange. And I wrote, what is the meaning which appeared to him? He ate the orange, but he has a meaning. We hope that we couple the meanings with the acts. I looked that to the to the orange. It is a friendly fruit. It is the orange. If its appearance is sound, it means its inner is sound. Contrasted with others, the apples, it appears fine, but you may find inside certain thing which is not good. The orange is, the inner is as the outside. If he has the same meaning, all things become to him reminders. The other things about being the mindfulness, to be looking for the meaning in things, and the third, to have morals. Man cannot live without a psychological machines to provide him with energy from the beginning to the end. The man who has high morals, he finds the few things as big things, and panting after the food or the sustenance. The feeling is not desertified, and he is satisfied. He says thanks to God. It is beautiful. The man who has morals, when he has hopes, for example, has 5 hopes and achieved 2 of them, and remaining 3, and he maintains his machine and introspects the feeling, and he does not look to the 3 hopes which have not occurred, and he looks at the 2 which are achieved. he who brings these two can bring the three. And he has expansion in the feeling reflected on his exterior appearance. These three things synchronized together, three dimensions. We say now that awakeness or mindfulness, it asserts our gains from remembrance. Peace be upon you. May God give us awakeness and send away from us the unmindfulness or after talking about after we have finished from being awake and to think and contemplate and to have morals and high morals, and this is the time which is good to talk about remembrance. Rashid, you are welcome. Khalid Omar. Hello, our Sheikh. I would like to ask you, how can we move to the feeling in remembrance? Allow me if I want to know how can my remembrance is just saying, but to make it up to the level of feeling. My father conveys his greetings to you and thank you. Let us continue. Is there any other calls? I answer Khalid. Thank you and thanks to your father. I take this opportunity to ask God to raise his grace in those who are guided. Khalid, I have a problem on the question. Not the problem of remembrance, we are saying it only. We have not gone up to the level of influence. The saying should has a presence. It is not an easy thing. Don't mention the verse from the Holy Quran. To him the good words go up, and the word ascends up. It is high and takes his speaker up to and he is the master of his saying. Our prophet. There is no problem in the words, and or it is a barrier for the feelings, and how can it win them to put a bridge between the words and the feelings and the concepts in this context. Allow me, Khalid, to talk about after awakeness. When I looked for the words of scholars about thoughts in order to renew and restore my contemplations, one reminded me of God's verse, who remember God while they are sitting and on their leaning at their sides. And one of the scholars said a strange word which made me more conscious to know what is recalling God or remembrance of Allah. What is the meaning of being caller to God and to become to the level as a caller or remembering of Allah frequently. and I will talk about this. Before I go to the meaning, Rashid, yes, peace be upon you. Good evening. First, Sheikh, I like you for the sake, for God's sake, and your words are beautiful. And I talked to you yesterday, and I am lucky, and I have the two good things for me, and I have simple intervention about the remembrance. It is great to remembrance of God. Remember me, and I remember you. You remember God in yourself. God remembers you in your Himself. Among crowds, God will remember you in heaven among crowds better than yours. And in these virtuous days, you should not offense others and concentrate yourself to the virtues of remembrance, to refrain from harming others, and to increase your prayers and remembrance, and becomes mercy in his heart for others and helps the needy and the poor. The remembrance make you lenient when you are facing a hard or tough heart. In remembrance, your heart becomes soft and clean. From the seven who are shadowed by the shades of Allah. You are raising our standards. Don't take us too far. These are great criterions. To remember God alone and remembering Allah, His tears are shed down, the tears of fear, and you inspired me and honored me at the same time. We go back. Rashid gave me a lot. May God bless him to continue in this great path which is full with greatness. The scholar, when he contemplated the verse, those who recall God while standing, while sitting, while on their sides, and he says in what he understood to stand up of the real remembrance. Remembrance are repeated. The servant is repeating the celebration of God, until he finds that God is above from what he recalled, and at the end you see glory for you. How perfect are you? This is what we have been taught. We don't calculate eulogy on you, and you as you praised yourself. We have from Mauritania, Muhammad. Peace be upon you. How are you, our Sheikh? I want you to supplicate Allah for me, to ask I will ask my mother, because her supplications are better than mine, to supplicate for your success and to compile the success and being fruitful. The scholar, they recall Allah while standing, sitting, and on their sides, to stand in the right of remembrance, and taking from being claiming that I am no by using the rosary, or it is on their sides, it is to avoid to eat while remembering him. The scholar said the villain who eats in his religion because he is so and so and he is a good man, the remembrance, it is not by tongue or alone. It is not invocations. We should discuss its contents. The God opens things for him. I call it, in my opinion, to pass through the things rapidly, and the things pass through you quickly, and made the attributes of the servants of Allah, they pass through things quickly. Now we will go to the beginnings of the path to the making remembrance. I open a word said by the late Muhammad al-Ghazali in to remember in a good way for God a thing which cannot be done by any man. The praising Allah is not carried by any man. How can you praise whom you ignore? The remembrance to go through a road to discover your ignorance in order to go to him. How can you praise whom you ignore? We end by this word. All mercy to Muhammad al-Ghazali.